Hello everyone. In this section we're going to take a look at some of the media library that Corona has. The media library is for loading and taking photos, videos, and recordings. So if you take a look at the API, there's a whole series of things here. There's for audio recordings, for taking photos, taking video, and of course playing these items as well. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at first loading images from the photo library. So if you can go ahead and take the code snippet from the final example, the top one for the photo library, what we have here is a basic function that plays when the photo selection has been complete, and it prints out information about the photo, and then we actually have our sequence here. So in order for us to cover this, first we have to look at hasSource. With the three different types of things that we can do here, photo library, the camera, and the album, we actually need to check to see if the device has this feasibility. So before we try to tell it to take a photo, we need to make sure it has a camera itself. So the thing we do here is if media hasSource, for this one we check to see if it has a photo library, and if it does, then we tell it to select photo and we give it a table. And this table is telling us which source to use, which is the photo library, and then the listener to call once it's complete. So this listener is then going to run the function that we have here. Now if it does not have a photo library, we're printing a statement saying that it does not. So if you go ahead and save and run this, it's going to attempt to load images. So you'll see it'll ask you to load an image, and then from there you can load an image and it'll show it on screen and print the information. So that's the basics for the photo library. You can play around with this both in the simulator and on your device. And you can see its information here, select photo, and this shows some of the basic examples of how to use it, as well as the syntax of what it's asking for and the information that it needs. So next up we're going to take a look at capturing a photo. So this will actually allow us to take a photo. So let's go ahead and grab this second code snippet. Now in this we have two events here. We have the onComplete function, and then we have the sequence itself. So we're checking if camera exists. If so, we capture a photo with the listener using the function that we have here, and if not, we print that it has no camera. So you'll see that it actually asked me here to go ahead and pick a photo. So I can either use my camera, I can use the defaults, I can look through recent photos, or I can load a photo from the roll. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this owl. You'll see here now the owl shows up on screen, and this is the photo that we've taken. So we have our location, our X and Y location, and it prints the width and height as well. So that's the basics of taking a photo, and you'll see here in the capture photo, as included here in the source, there is various other options. You also need in your build settings, you need for Android to say that it has permission to use camera. And then there's a more advanced example showing how to use a button that someone can press to activate what we just did with the photo roll. So that's the basics of taking a photo. Now we're going to take a look at recording audio. So go ahead and grab this third snippet of code and place it in here. Now what we're doing with this section is we're giving a file path for it to save to. Then we're creating new mic record, which is media.recording, using the file path. So it's going to do a recording to this file path. Then we start the recording, and then we have a timer that in 2.5 seconds or 2500 milliseconds we run stop recording, which will stop the recording. So basically this records 2.5 seconds of audio. So if you save this and then go ahead and run it, it's going to run for 2.5 seconds, and then we'll see in the sandbox here you actually have this file. And you should be able to play this with any audio player you have, QuickTime, VLC, Windows Media Player, and it should play. Now one issue here is that it doesn't actually have a file path. It doesn't have an extension. So you'll see here that in your recording there's a variety of extensions based on which platform you're using. So the extension is not showing on our item because we didn't give it here in the name, but if you give it the extension that it's using, it'll ensure that your media device knows how to react to it. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the code for the video onComplete. The video onComplete code will be the one on the bottom. Now this will not work on the simulator. So the only way to test this is to put it on your device, but this will record an event, and this event will show your recording on your device and then save it out. So if you have your recording able on a device, you can go ahead and put this code on the device, be it Android or iOS, and test out the Android version. So this is the file for capture video. You'll see you also need permissions on Android, and then these are the elements of the table that you pass on in capture video. And here's a lengthier example that shows how to handle it. So those are some basic examples with the media library. You can go ahead and give these a try and try capturing photos and loading photos and doing the audio recordings. In the next section, we're going to cover menu states and how to swap through various menus in Corona.